You're listening to Inner Guidance Channel.
For the next few minutes, I will guide you through something far more powerful, an experience, a shift, because by the time we are done, you will not merely comprehend what has been keeping you bound. You will feel something stir within you. You will sense a change, a movement deep in consciousness. You will not only observe your thoughts differently, but you will begin to see how your reality has been molding itself around you, reflecting back to you that which you have unconsciously assumed all along. And once this realization dawns, the effort ceases. The struggle dissolves. That which once seemed impossible begins to unfold before you effortlessly, as if by divine orchestration. So, I ask only this. For the next few moments, set aside all distractions. Give yourself fully to this, not as a passive listener, but as one who steps into a new state of being. What you are about to hear is not just something to understand. It is something to experience, to embody, to live. Now, let us begin. I want you to cast your mind back to a time in your life when you longed for something, a relationship, a position, an opportunity, something you desired so intensely that it consumed your every thought. You planned for it. You worked for it. You obsessed over it. And yet, no matter what you did, it remained elusive, always just beyond your grasp. Now contrast that with another moment, a moment when something magnificent unfolded with no effort at all. Perhaps an opportunity arrived at your doorstep without you seeking it. Perhaps love found you when you least expected it. Perhaps a desire, once held lightly, materialized before your very eyes, as if by magic. Why does this happen? Why do the things we chase seem to flee, while the things we hold lightly seem to flow effortlessly into our experience? There is a reason, and once you grasp it, everything changes. Listen closely, for this is the great secret. Reality is not happening to you. It is responding to you. You are not waiting for reality to change. Reality is waiting for you to change. For reality is but a mirror, a perfect, unfailing mirror that reflects not your wishes, not your outward efforts, but the state in which you abide. Think deeply upon this. How many times have you longed for something so desperately, only to find it slipping further and further from reach? And then, almost cruelly, the moment you relinquished your grasp, the moment you released your need for it, there it was, as if the universe had been playing a game with you all along. But this is no game, it is law, the law of assumption. For what are you truly telling the world when you chase, when you grasp, when you strain toward a thing? You are declaring that you do not have it. And because you dwell in a state of not having, the world, being only a mirror, reflects back to you the same state: lack, absence, longing. But what happens when you let go? When you stop searching, stop waiting, stop needing? It is not that you cease to want it. It is that you move into the state of already being the one who has it. And in that shift, in that silent yet profound assumption, the world must comply. It has no choice. Let us take an example. Imagine a man who desperately desires wealth. He thinks about it constantly. He studies it. He laments his lack of it. He watches others who have it. And in his heart, he longs. And yet, no matter what he does, wealth eludes him. Why? Because his dominant state is one of lack. And so, the world, being a faithful mirror, reflects back lack, struggle, and toil. Now imagine that same man, but instead of longing, he assumes. He moves in the world as one who already possesses wealth. He feels within himself the ease, the confidence, the unshakable knowing of one who is already abundant. He ceases to look outside for proof, for the proof is already alive within him. And in that assumption, the world reconfigures itself around him. Opportunities arise, doors open, wealth flows. Not because he has worked harder, not because he has tried, but because he has assumed a new state. This is the secret. You do not attract what you want. You reflect what you are. And so I ask you now, who are you? Not in name, not in form, but in state. In the depths of your being, what do you truly assume to be true about yourself? For that assumption is shaping your world in this very moment. Do you believe yourself to be struggling? Then struggle will be your portion. Do you believe yourself to be loved, blessed, abundant? Then so shall you be. This is not mere philosophy. This is the law. A law as precise and unfailing as the law of gravity. And once you learn to work with it consciously, deliberately, the transformation is inevitable. So how do you shift? How do you move from a state of longing to a state of having? You begin now, in this very moment. You do not wait for evidence. You do not seek proof. You assume. You live in the feeling of the wish fulfilled. Close your eyes. Breathe deeply. And ask yourself, if I already had what I seek, how would I feel? What would my world look like from that vantage point? How would I move? How would I speak? How would I be? Now embody that. Not tomorrow. Not later. Now walk in that assumption as if it were already fact. Let it permeate your every thought, your every action, your very being. And as surely as night follows day, the world will rearrange itself around you. What was once out of reach will come knocking at your door. What once seemed impossible will become inevitable. For you are the operant power, the dreamer of the dream, the creator of all that you behold. And when you assume your rightful place, when you claim the feeling of your wish fulfilled, nothing can stand in your way. This is precisely what I have been telling you, what I have been imploring you to see. You do not wish, you do not hope, you assume. You take upon yourself the feeling of the wish fulfilled, and in sustaining that assumption, you give it life. You allow it to harden into fact. Now pause for a moment and truly hear these words. I did not say you must try. I did not say you must struggle. I did not say you must beg or plead or wait for signs to convince you. No, I said assume. An assumption is not an act of force. It is an act of knowing. It is a quiet confidence, a still certainty that what is seen within must take form without. When you assume the wish fulfilled, you cease to chase. You cease to wonder when or how or through whom. You rest, for you know that in the unseen, it is already done. And herein lies the great secret. The moment you assume it is done, you step aside. You no longer interfere, no longer entangle yourself in doubts and fears. You no longer demand to see evidence before you believe, for belief itself is the evidence. The moment you accept it within, reality begins to shift without. It must, for the world is but a reflection, a mirror held up to your inner state. When you cease to resist, when you no longer grasp and clutch and control, then, and only then, does that which is yours flow freely into your world. You have seen this for yourself, though you may not have realized it. Have you not noticed how the things you desire most, the things you chase and struggle for, seem to elude you? And yet, those things which you give no great thought to, those things for which you hold no desperate longing, seem to arrive with ease. This is not chance, this is law. When you do not cling, you do not block. When you do not seek, you do not scatter your power. The moment you release, you allow. But now you ask, how does one release without pretense? How does one surrender without deceit? For you cannot merely tell yourself, I do not care, while beneath the surface, you continue to check, to hope, to wait. That is not letting go. That is self-deception. And the law does not respond to your words. It responds to your state. So what then is the way? How does one truly live in the end without struggle? The answer is simple. You live from the feeling, not towards it. You enter the state, not as a traveler seeking a distant land, but as one who has already arrived. You dwell in the house of fulfillment, not as a guest, but as the rightful owner. You close the door to doubt, and you rest in the certainty of the unseen. For what you assume, you become. And what you become, you must inevitably express. Stay with me. This is the first step, the very first step. And it is the most crucial of them all. Stop chasing. Right now, in this moment, I ask you to release the grasp, the constant reaching, the never-ending search for proof. Whether you realize it or not, you have been living in a state of, I need this to happen. And that state, my friend, is the very thing keeping it from happening. Every time you ask, where is it? Why hasn't it come yet? You reaffirm its absence. You declare to the world, to your subconscious, and to the infinite intelligence within you that you do not have it. And what must your world reflect back to you? More of not having it. But consider this. If it were already yours, if it had already arrived, would you be searching? Would you be worrying? Would you be anxiously scanning your reality for signs? Number, you would be at peace. You would move through your day with quiet confidence, knowing that it is done. This is the key. You must embody the energy of already having it. You must assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled. This is not an act of pretense, nor is it a trick played upon the mind. It is a deep inner knowing, a shift in identity, a claiming of that which is already yours in the unseen. So I ask you right now to stop looking for it. Stop waiting. Stop questioning when it will come. Instead, step into the energy of knowing. And in that moment, the moment you truly let go of the search, everything begins to shift. Now let us move to the second step. You have stopped chasing, but now you must learn to remain in the state of already having it without slipping back into doubt. And this is where most stumble, where the mind whispers its deceptive doubts, where the illusion of time tempts you to revert to your old self. At first, you may feel strong in your assumption. You may walk with confidence, with certainty. But then a day passes, 2 days, 3. And suddenly that voice returns. But where is it? That moment, my friend, is the test. It is the threshold between old and new, between lack and fulfillment. For the second you start searching again, the moment you entertain doubt, you step back into the energy of not having. And so the cycle repeats. How do you prevent this? You make peace with the unknown. You surrender to the unseen. Read that again. For this is the moment of true power, where most falter, and where the few who persist are crowned with the manifestation of their desire. Most can assume for a moment, but they cannot release their attachment to the how or when. But if you can surrender the details and trust the process, you become unstoppable. Because the moment you stop needing it to appear on your timeline, the moment you stop obsessing over how it will unfold, you prove to reality that you already have it. And when you have no need to chase, when you have no impulse to grasp, it must come to you. So from this moment forward, when doubt arises, do nothing. Let it pass like a cloud drifting through the sky. Observe, but do not react. The greatest power lies in non-resistance. When you can sit in that space without forcing, without clinging, without pleading, you enter the realm of effortless receiving. And it is in this state, that all things move toward you. Now we arrive at the final step, the step that solidifies, that locks in the manifestation permanently. Stay with me. At this point, you have done the two most vital things. One, you have stopped chasing. You are no longer waiting, searching, or hoping. Two, you have remained in the state. You have learned to sit in the unknown without losing your inner certainty. Now comes the final step, making peace with the silence before the manifestation. And this is where most fall apart. They expect an immediate shift. They assume that because they have done the inner work, their external world should instantly rearrange itself. And when it does not, they panic. They say, I have done everything right. Where is it? And in that very question, they undo their work. But hear me now. There is always a gap between assumption and external reality. This gap is not a delay. It is alignment. It is the universe reshuffling itself to reflect your new state. Reality is not testing you. It is recalibrating. It is shifting, bending, restructuring itself around your new identity. And in this final stage, your only task is to continue living, to remain in ease, to refuse to stress over what is already done. Because when you can hold this energy, when you can sit in the silence without scrambling, without forcing, without rushing, it will come. And it will come not as a struggle, not as a forced effort, but as a natural, effortless unfolding. It will feel as though it was always meant to be, as though it could not have been any other way. So now, when doubt arises, when impatience whispers its tempting words, do nothing. Not because you do not care, but because you already know. Because you already possess it in consciousness, and what is held in consciousness must be reflected in form. And once you master this, once you truly let go of the chase, the checking, the waiting, you will never again feel the need to chase. Because everything you once sought will now seek you. This is the secret. This is the truth behind manifestation. It is not about doing more. It is about allowing. The moment you stop forcing, the moment you release the need to see, to confirm, to control, everything falls into place. You do not have to beg. You do not have to plead. You do not have to anxiously search for signs. For the moment you step into the state of already having, reality begins to shift to match it. And now, the choice is yours. You can return to overthinking, second-guessing, and waiting. Or you can embrace the one shift that changes everything. Surrender. So now I ask you to affirm it. Declare it. Write in the comments below. I let go and it flows. Feel it as you type. Let it be final. And if this message resonated with you, if you now understand the power that lies in surrender, then share it. Send it to someone who needs to hear this. Because sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is nothing at all.